This is 7.2, the evaluation section. Looking at the answers that we got on our alcohol questions in our consultation, there are positives and negatives that we found on Emily. She told us that the only time she drinks on the weekend when there are parties or going out with her mates, and said that she only drinks at parties and for socialising and having a good time at these events. I believe that this is a good thing for her, as it is believed that when a student is at university, they are known for drinking lots throughout the week as well as the weekends. So, from what Emily does, this is she limits herself to a treat on the weekend to drinking. This is good that she is drinking less than others, that she can and that she can control herself from going out with mates all the time and has control over it. However, with this there are side effects to binge drinking, as your body isn't able to metabolize big amounts of alcohol and this can affect your heart, kidneys, lung and pancreas. She does, however, state that she doesn't drink too irresponsibly, but does drink to have a good time. The fact that she doesn't drink too irresponsibly is a good thing. She means that she doesn't take on an extreme amount, and that this is better for her body, as it will be able to metabolize it a lot easier and not have as much of an effect on her body. On the other hand, this may not be the case all the time, as the state she drinks to have a good time, which with this runs the risk of her over drinking, as sometimes it can get a bit out of hand once they have got too drunk and don't stop. So this runs the risk of her drinking irresponsibly, as she would be too drunk to realise and stop this. This is bad, as her body will find it hard to metabolize the drink, which can lead to a higher risk of the risks of drinking that I stated. The long-term effects of alcohol are high blood pressure, irregular heartbeats, live cirrhosis, and even cancer can be a possibility, where alcohol increases the risk of developing over 60 diseases, including alcohol dependence and strokes, where these are a lot more severe than the short-term effects. Alcohol can also have an effect on your body, such as the damage to the nerve system, brain, pancreas, and livers. The effects to your liver are very severe, as it interprets the role of it, where it processes harmful substances out of your body, but the alcohol interferes with the process and the harmful substances aren't being removed and will start to deteriorate the liver. The brain is affected from the ethanol in the alcohol blocks the chemical signals from the brain, meaning that some information isn't sent from the brain to the body, which can lead to impulsive behavior. The way it affects your body is due to the fact that the molecules are small enough to pass through the gaps in between the brain cells, where the ethanol then interferes with the neurotransmitter within the brain, which impairs all the functions that the brain would normally perform. This then shows why drinking can be bad for people, and that it needs to be controlled to help people risk levels of these effects being as low as possible. From the answers we received in the smoking section of the questionnaire, there were a lot more negative answers than positive. The first positive, though, that we got from Emily was that she believed that smoking hadn't impacted on her health much or her as a person. This is good, as we can see that she isn't being harmed from the smoking as of yet, where she believes this is because she hasn't smoked for a long enough period for it to, which hopefully means that she isn't wanting to smoke her whole life and might just be a phase, as she knows that it can harm her health, and hopefully she doesn't want this to occur. This also links with the other positives, as she believes smoking can affect people that smoke for a long period of time, so shows she has a good knowledge on smoking that will hopefully in the future push her towards quitting. From smoking, there were a lot more negatives from the recent changes and events that has led to Emily starting smoking. Since starting university, Emily started smoking from her new friends smoking and on nights out, and is very common for people at university. This is negative, as it is what led her to start smoking, which can lead to the addiction, and in the long run can affect her health massively from the amount she's smoking. The amount she's smoking is now 11 to 15 fags a day, which is a huge amount and is one for her health, and shows that she has picked up a strong addiction. With the amount that she is smoking, the risk of her getting a fatal disease from this is likely if she carries on this way. If she was to quit early and soon, the chances of these diseases would still be low and her body would recover quickly as she hasn't been smoking for that long. Unfortunately, this doesn't seem to be the case for Emily, as with our next two weaknesses that she has tried quitting smoking and the other being that she doesn't wish she didn't start, so she's happy that she does. And this shows us that it is not likely for her to quit smoking anytime soon or for a while, as she doesn't regret starting, as this can be the case but for some people, but people are too addicted to stop, and then she's never tried to stop smoking despite knowing it isn't good for her. If she isn't stopped soon, this will lead to long-term effects being likely to occur, with some of these effects being acute bronchitis and myeloid leukemia, asthma, atherosclerosis, and different types of cancers and diseases around the body, and many more long-term effects, which is why it would be good for Emily to quit early while smoking wouldn't have had much of an effect on her from her smoking for such a short amount of time. From her diet, we only found one positive to it, and this is about her past, as she says that her diet and eating was better when living with parents, as they would cook for her, as she finds it hard to find time to cook while at university. This is good, as it shows that she hasn't had a bad diet her whole life, and that it is mainly down to university, with her diet being bad now, which will hopefully change once she's finished university. There are some negatives to Emily's eating, with the first being that she doesn't consume her 5 a day of the week any day of the week. This shows that her diet isn't healthy, as this is a requirement to her diet and means that she is eating unhealthily, which can influence her body as well as this. She relies on meal deals and takeaways a lot of the time, as she doesn't have the time to cook with being at university and having a job, and admits that she has an unhealthy lifestyle with what she eats since being at university. Relying on these types of foods are bad, as they aren't healthy and are very fatty, meaning she might put on weight and also isn't eating what she needs to be eating to keep her body healthy and keep away diseases. We know that with this being the case, we know that a healthy diet has positive effects, with the main one being weight loss, where this can then help lowering the risk of chronic conditions like heart diseases, non-insulin dependent diabetes, mellitus, and some cancers. As with someone that is obese, this can lead to developing cancers. A balanced diet of eating well also improves your day-to-day life, as it gives you the energy that you need to be able to keep active throughout the day without the amounts you need depending on the activities you're taking part in. Nutrients you also need for growth and repair, helping you to stay strong and healthy, which she doesn't get on board most days, where a balanced diet can also help massively with heart health and developing heart diseases by maintaining blood pressure and cholesterol levels, as these can go up from too much salt and saturated fats. With Emily's physical activity, we see that she doesn't really perform in any now she's at university, and the only positive that we found is that she did used to do dance at secondary school. This shows us that she can commit herself to physical activity when she has the time, so shows that she does care about her health and will hopefully carry on dancing after university or find something new that keeps her fit. The amount of physical activity that she performs now, though, is very worrying, as she isn't performing any while being at university, and with this lies risk of starting a sedentary lifestyle. This can lead to problems within the body, with the heart and lungs, and can see a potential of weight gain, as she won't be burning enough calories without doing exercise. With Emily not participating in physical activity, she misses out on the positive effects that come along with it. You gain a lot of health benefits from it, such as up to 35% lower risk of coronary heart disease and stroke, up to 50% lower risk of type 2 diabetes, up to 50% lower risk of colon cancer, up to 20% lower risk of breast cancer, up to 30% lower risk of early death, up to 83% lower risk of osteoarthritis, up to 68% lower risk of hip fracture, 30% lower risk of falls among older adults, up to 30% lower risk of depression, up to 30% lower risk of dementia, as well as there being health benefits from physical activity. You can also have mental benefits, as it can make people feel better about themselves for doing something that is good for their body and will higher their self-esteem. Following on from this, it is also a good stress reliever, as it releases endorphins in the brain, where it also helps to relax the muscles and relieves tension in the body, leading on to your mind feeling better as your body does. We found that Emily's stress and how she copes with it is good, and had the most positive answers from the different sections in the questionnaire. The first positive we found from her was how she balances her life and university well. So this doesn't cause stress, as people can normally find that they do one or the other, so then get stressed from not doing enough work and working hard enough at university, or the other way around. They get too distracted by university and don't want to fall behind, that they stop seeing people and enjoy luxury time, where they get overstressed about university and don't enjoy it as much as they would due to them missing out on things. Emily also says that if she does get stressed, she is able to control it and uses it as a motivator, which shows great character and maturity from her, and shows how strong and independent she can be if needed. This will also help her, as she won't get stressed easily, meaning day-to-day life will be a lot better and easier for her. These two positives link together for the last one, where she states she controls it by keeping her balance, which is good, as she still has enjoyment in her social life and is still exceeding in university, setting her up for her later life after university. The only negative that we found from the stress is when she gets stressed is during exam period, and this alone isn't that bad of a negative, as it is very common for people to get stressed during exam periods, and as long as she doesn't let it affect her studies and exams, then it shouldn't have a down on her performance, which I believe will be the case from her telling us how she can deal with stress well and keep it controlled. And to add on to this, use it as a motivator, so it may as well also help her revise more, so she isn't as stressed when it actually comes to the exams. The two main weaknesses that we have chosen to try and improve is that she doesn't take part in physical activity in the amount she is smoking a day, with this being 11 to 15 fags a day. With her not doing any physicality, I believe that this needs to improve, as the amount she is doing is worrying, and her not doing physical activity can have a physical and if she was to do physical activity, this can have a physical and mental positive effect on her and help her succeed elsewhere and in life. And with the amount that she is smoking a day is very worrying, like I said, as if this is to continue, she is running a very high risk for her to catch diseases, and I also believe, while it is still early in her smoking days, it is going to be easier to help her with, so she doesn't have much of an impact from smoking.